today to sign a bill that continues our commitment to having a vibrant agriculture industry. This is a little bit different in terms of the threat that we're talking about here. I mean, we've dealt with things like citrus greening with our citrus. Of course, when you have some of the storms, that can wreak havoc on various types of crops. So there's all kinds of things that happen. Those are, though, natural disasters. Those are acts of God. What we're protecting here is the industry against acts of man, against an ideological agenda that wants to finger agriculture as the problem, that views things like raising cattle as destroying our climate. These will be people who will lecture the rest of us about things like global warming. They will say that you can't drive a internal combustion engine vehicle. They'll say that agriculture is bad. Meanwhile, they're flying to Davos in their private jets, and they're living like they would ever want to live. So this is really a vision of imposing restrictions on freedoms for everyday people, while these elites are effectively pulling the strings, calling the shots, and doing whatever the hell they want to do in their own lives. And we've said in Florida, these folks at like the World Economic Forum in Davos that they meet and they scheme, those policies are dead on arrival in the state of Florida. And we fought it in a number of different ways. We have fought it through standing up against things like central bank digital currency, where they want to be able to control your money. We fought against it by banning the Chinese Communist Party from purchasing land in the state of Florida. We have fought it by putting an end to woke banks denying or canceling financial services for Florida, just based on their political opinions. And we've also protected Floridians from government tracking of credit card transactions related to the purchase of firearms and ammunition. I think what they're looking to do is create a social credit system. That's what they have in China. And so your ability to participate in the economy, access credit, will be circumscribed by your ideological positions and your political positions. And so if you believe in Second Amendment, if you believe in agriculture, you believe that, you will be marked down. So that's ultimately the vision. Now, that is not a vision that has taken hold in Florida. And honestly, even in a lot of these other states, it's still got a long way to go. But we see the threat for what it is. So why are we talking about that here in Hardee County? Why do we have all these cattlemen here for the bill that we're going to sign today? Because one of the things that these folks want to do is they want to eliminate meat production in the United States, or actually throughout the world. They view agriculture they don't view their private jets as a problem with global warming, but they do think that folks who are cattle ranchers are doing just things that really, before we were even a state, this stuff was going on in Florida, and we would not have even become the state we were if we didn't have agriculture, particularly over the last 150 years. So, but this is the view. So what do they want to do? Well, they want to basically eliminate meat. They want to eliminate cattle. They want to eliminate chickens, all this stuff. And they want to create protein in laboratories. So it's essentially lab-created meat. And their goal is to get to a point where you will not be raising cattle, where you will not be developing meat like we've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years in the state of Florida. And so it's not just a question of, oh, well, they want to put this out there on the market. If some people like it, they can do it. That's not really what they're going for, because they know if that was put out there to compete with normal beef, that they would lose. So what they want to do is put that out there and then say, well, wait a minute, you can do this in a lab. You don't need to do the cattle. You don't need to do all this. So why don't you just phase that out? That's ultimately the goal. Now, they're not at the point where they're going to be able to execute that today. But I think part of being good stewards of these industries, of the state, of the public well-being, is to think forward and head off threats before they even come. So I recognize the threats that we're seeing from some of these elites throughout the world in places like Davos. I understand that they've put a target on the back of agriculture, as being somehow driving all these problems. And in the state of Florida, we've put down the marker very clearly. We stand with agriculture. We stand with the cattle ranchers. We stand with our farmers because we understand it's important for the backbone of the state. It's important for our culture. It's important for our heritage. So the bill that I'm going to sign today is going to say, basically, take your fake lab-grown meat elsewhere. We're not doing that in the state of Florida.